With school remaining online for the rest of the year, there are many new challenges for districts and for parents who are trying to ensure that their children don't fall behind. For students, there's a lot of disappointment. No sports, no spring concerts, not to mention all of the seniors who are counting on graduation and prom. I spoke with Jake McCandless, the superintendent of Pittsfield Schools, to hear how they're handling all of these questions.
We were, and I say we, the Berkshire County superintendents actually, we gathered in my office on Friday, March 13th, and we opted to close at the end of business that day, a couple of days ahead of where the state was, and that was done out of no disrespect for any state actors or the state situation. That was really based on the situation here on the ground in Berkshire County. So obviously, like everybody else in the country and the world, we were surprised at how quickly this grew from an interesting news story into impacting daily life right here for all of us. We were not surprised to see a statewide closure of schools, knowing that that's a massive inconvenience for thousands and thousands and really hundreds of thousands of families. We still were not surprised due to the seriousness of the situation.
I think I would definitely want to pick up on what you had said. Like back then on March 13th, there were some superintendents in the Springfield area that had also agreed to close as well in advance of what the governor had done. But I would agree, certainly, I mean, there were still school concerts planned that week and different events, basketball games or whatever games they were still having. I don't think anybody, certainly in the school community, had any idea of how quickly this would turn.
No, I mean, as we sat here on that Friday the 13th, we still had two teams that were left in the state basketball tournament from Taconic High School. Our sense was that our conversation with our band and orchestra folks who had been planning spring concerts, our conversation with them was, yeah, we're going to close for 2 weeks and this will settle down and we'll get cleaned and disinfected and then we'll reschedule all of these events. I don't know that anybody at that point in time saw that we would be looking at a complete ending of a school year in mid-March and all of the really serious ramifications that come from closing down a school year in a big hurry in the way that we had to do this.
The governor had mentioned prior to closing down school for the rest of the year that he would like to see, it would be great to see schools come back, at least to have some sort of an assessment, even if it was late May or early June. And I'm sure a lot of parents and a lot of students would have liked to see that as well. But the teachers' unions reacted, superintendents reacted to that.
Yeah, it's, I mean, our governor is surrounded by some of the preeminent health experts in the world. It's really, this is one of those many times where you feel very fortunate and very blessed to live in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which has incredible minds and hearts in the medical community and the science community from Western Mass to the Atlantic Ocean. So, we really respect the very brutal and difficult decision-making process that the governor had to go through in order to close the schools for the Commonwealth for the remainder of the year. Certainly my sense as a leader in this community, which is the home of Berkshire Medical Center, and my office where I'm sitting right now is about a block away from there. I see the testing site. I know what this means. We know people who are suffering from this virus. To me, going back in order just to go back to do an assessment, to do whatever, just was not the wise decision. And our governor did make the wise decision. Children have an entire lifetime to learn. And that's not to take away the importance of schools, but this is going to be a setback for learning for many children in the Commonwealth. It is not the end of the road for children in the Commonwealth. And we think in order to protect the community, to protect our teachers, our cafeteria workers, our bus drivers, secretaries, paraprofessionals, and to protect the 5,000 families that we serve. This was the right thing to do, and we're very grateful to the governor and the lieutenant governor and their team for making this hard decision.
How do you make up for the setback, though? Because I think that's a big concern for families, and in different communities, things look differently. Some schools are grading things. Some schools are not. Some schools are doing Zoom classes. Others are sending out emails with PDFs. So there's a lot of uncertainty, especially for parents who are trying to make sure that when we go back to school in September, hopefully, right, that kids have not fallen too far behind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if there is an unsung group of heroes during this current crisis, and we all use that word pretty frequently now, around medical professionals, around workers that are obligated to come to work so that all of us can survive. I have to throw parents and guardians into the mix of heroes during this crisis. Overnight, parents went from whatever world they were in into having children home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which in and of itself can be a challenge, let alone now becoming the main teacher in your child's life. Pittsfield is a community. We're incredibly diverse in many ways. One of the ways we're incredibly diverse is in the support for learning that actually exists in the homes of children. So we know that we have some children who have absolutely not missed a beat during this time. They have great access to devices at home. They have great access to help. They have help right in the house. They have internet service. They have plenty to eat. It's comfortable. It's safe. We know at the other end of that spectrum, we have children who don't even have homes. And so this notion of remote learning, it's not necessarily electronic learning. We made the decision that we didn't feel it was safe to have a bunch of people in running papers to deliver to people's houses as we're being ordered to try to stay in our homes as much as possible. We used a vendor that we have worked with before to buy state standard aligned workbooks, and we're in the process of having workbooks shipped to every single family, kindergarten through grade 8 in the city of Pittsfield. Starting late this week, early next week, we'll be distributing about 2,500 Chromebooks. So we're trying to be as encompassing as we can be in our approach, but we know that approach is still going to leave some families unserved and underserved. And so, our real hope is that we can get in and do something over the summer. And if we can't do something over the summer, we are just going to do what educators do, which is improvise and move on to plan B or C or D or E, and work to get children as caught up as we possibly can. But that working to get students caught up as quickly as we can starts with a focus on their social and emotional wellness, and we're also preparing for that.
I think the big complication of this, surely for you, are the kids who are in high school, specifically with like a GPA, any kids who are doing honors classes and are worried about applying to colleges, but also those seniors. There's a lot of heartbreak and loss, right, for all of those kids who are seniors, or even kids moving from 5th grade to middle school or 8th grade to high school. There's a lot of things that are going to be missed.
Yeah, it's I feel terrible and have a great deal of empathy for so many people right now in the ways that this is affecting their life. I think this is affecting children in ways that, as a almost 50-year-old, I've probably aged past the point of truly understanding how hurtful and how devastating it is to miss some of these life milestones, whether it's the 5th grade move-up ceremony or the 8th grade move-up ceremony. Our seniors, I'm just sad for. I am sad for them in that we don't know what we're going to do with graduation. They're missing their prom. They're missing their athletic seasons. Our spring musicals were canceled, which is that is like taking away oxygen for many people in our community. There's just a lot of hurt and a lot of loss for young people. And, I look at our current seniors, most of them were born sort of in the ballpark of September 11. They were born into a really hard time in our country. They are moving into adulthood at a really hard time. And I just hope that, we have worked diligently with colleges to make sure the way we're approaching our grades and GPAs are ways that work for the colleges and the military and the employees that will be receiving our children. I hope that our students have colleges to go to in the fall, because online learning is wonderful for some people. It certainly doesn't replace the college experience. So we're going to do everything we can do to celebrate these students. But we join them, we join their families, and we join the whole community in just really being brokenhearted over the sense of loss that our students are feeling right now.